Sometimes I feel like this.
Stop moving. There you go. Dayna Marie.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you for joining the Mommy Business Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. I thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here to be a part of this amazing movement.
Yes. And listen, you look so good. I saw that you said you've been married for 25 years, and I'm looking at you and I'm like, I guess marriage has been great because she does not look like she's been married 25 years.
That is such a compliment. Let me tell you, yes, we were married in our early 20s, and every marriage has its growth spurts, right?
Yes, yes.
So I appreciate that. My husband and I are best friends. You know, we've learned, even though we were young when we got married, we've learned you gotta communicate.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, amen.
that is an ongoing I hate to call it a job, but marriages, it's work. You've got to put in the work if you want it to be right. And we want to
Listen,
stay right.
that is so true. And I tell my husband, I was like, marriage is work. And he's like, it's not work for me. I'm like, whatever. It's definitely work. So,
The guys never think it's work. For us, we like, oh no, you working.
right. So please give the listeners a little bit more background. I know we started a little bit already, but give them a little bit more background about yourself.
Yeah, so I am a mom. I have two children, a son and a daughter. My son is an adult. My daughter is 17. And I do have a grandson who's 3. That's the joy of my world. I have a background in finance. I've been in the financial services industry for over 20 years. I left corporate America about 4.5 years ago now and started my own company. It was time to say, okay, enough with the boss. I've learned enough. It's time to be out on my own. And I love to serve women. So that's pretty much, enough about me. I just love to serve, especially women that are contemplating, what is my next step? What am I going to do? What should I be doing next? Because I remember early in my career being a little less confident than I am today, unsure about where, if I did step out, that paycheck was going to be made up from. And if I really could, at that time, convince my family that I had enough sauce to be my own boss, right? So I love to serve women in that way.
I love that. We have something common. I have finance background as well. So and I love the fact that after you was in the workforce for a while, you was like, you know what? I'm not going to get comfortable here. I'm not going to spend, being unhappy here. I'm going to step out and do something that I really want to do. So what gave you the courage to just be like, I'm going to talk to my husband, talk to my family, give them the confidence, and just you yourself have the confidence to just step out and do it?
Well, let me say this. It definitely was not an overnight journey for me. It wasn't a quick, I'm going to be in corporate for a short amount of time. I had a 20 plus year corporate career. In the last company that I was with, the day that I entered into that company, my daughter had just turned 3. And I said, you know what? I'm making a commitment right here, right now. By the time she goes into her freshman year of high school, I will be full-time at home. I had the feeling that she didn't need me as much in those toddler years, going through grammar school, elementary school, as she would need me in high school.
Wow.
And it turned out that was honestly the best decision. So right before her 8th grade graduation, that moving up ceremony, I handed in my resignation. What I did, though, which is really important, I made sure that I had a few things in order, right? So before I even had that conversation with my husband, because, guys are going to be like, okay, well, what is this going to mean, right? Financially, they want to make sure that everything is stable. And like most women, I always say that my husband is the CEO of the household, but I'm the CFO, right? So I handle the money.
Like that.
So I had to make sure that I had some things in order, Letitia, honestly.
Mhm.
I had to make sure that, by me coming out of a stable 6-figure income, was my husband going to be okay with the journey of entrepreneurship,
Right.
which in the beginning may not be as steady as those every 2-week paychecks,
Right.
right? And those bonuses that we get every year in the financial services industry, which are pretty lucrative.
Mhm.
I also wanted to make sure that I didn't have to dabble too much into my personal savings, which is one of the things that I know a lot of new entrepreneurs, when we're putting ourselves out there, we're either
Mhm.
dabbling into our personal savings or we're going into our, 401k or Roth or whatever we may have. And I'm not saying that I didn't do those things, but I wanted to be strategic in how I did them, right?
Mhm.
And then I had the conversation with, the guy upstairs, like, order my steps
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
give me the words to say, because I really wasn't sure how my husband was going to accept that. He knew from the day that we met that I've always been an ambitious girl. And he knew, when I stepped back into corporate after I had my daughter, that I was not happy and that I had given myself that 10-year plan.
Mhm.
Um, but as many of us know, we can blink an eye and that time
Yeah.
flies by so fast. So I
Mhm.
wasn't sure how he was going to receive it. So I actually jotted down a few things that I think he might ask, right?
Mhm.
Number one, where's the money going to come from? Is this something that I was sure that I wanted to do? Meaning, is entrepreneurship something that you just dabbling in and you're giving up this great job where you have
Right.
tenure and you have a full resume and you've had a lot of connections? And then what was that going to look like for our entire family unit? At that time, my son was coming out of college. And so I had to make sure that I had the answers to his questions, as well as, being confident enough in myself to say, entrepreneurship is not something that you kind of like, let me dab in this for a moment.
Mhm.
You're all in or you're not in.
Mhm.
You got to ride the wave. So I asked those questions and I was really, honest with him. I'm going to be honest with you all here today. I wrote them down one night and the next morning I woke up. I said, babe, I got to talk to you about something because tomorrow I'm resigning.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God. So not even full 24 hours. And I was gonna ask you, did you prepare you know how they say, you work your main job and then you work your side job. So were you preparing or working towards your entrepreneur job while you was working your 9-to-5 corporate job?
Great question. And absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I wanted to make sure that, especially in, the environment that we're in, where a lot of business is online, that
Mhm.
I was building up the right brand image, that I was making sure that the income was steady before letting go of, the 9 to 5, that I was putting away from my business, putting away money for the rainy days that are going to happen in business. So I built my business up about 2.5 years before that resignation. And
Okay.
then, as things would happen, and some of our listeners may be able to relate to this, in that last year, I got my promotion, another promotion. The promotion was to a different group within our Fortune 50 company.
Mhm.
However, I had gotten a little comfortable in that promotion and almost forgot my 10-year goal,
Oh.
except for the fact that God said, oh no, you're not going to forget. I'm going to give you some challenges. And I promise you that in that last year, as I was building my business was doing great. It was 6 figures. I was doing probably close to 5 figures a month in my business, and it was consistently growing. But I had the worst manager that I had ever had in my corporate career.
See.
And that was enough for this eagle to fly. I said, okay, I got it. So those were definitely, things that were important to me. Build up the business before taking that giant leap. Make sure that the market wants what you have to offer. So I definitely think that was, important for me, and I certainly did it.
I like that. And it's so funny because when you see you got your bonus and everything was looking good, and you was like, oh, wait a second, this may be a little bit too good to be true, or for me to leave. And then it was like the boss. I always say that God always give us something to keep us a little bit humble.
Oh, yes.
We have all good things. It's like, no, I'm going to keep you on your toes to keep reminding you what you're supposed to be doing.
Oh, yes.
So tell us, how did you balance it with the whole entrepreneurship and also family, especially dealing with a teenage daughter during that time frame?
Well, let me just say, I've been blessed so far. I mean, this young lady is definitely not a high maintenance girl. She's pretty
Okay.
independent. I like to say she get that from her mama. And she doesn't really, I know I gave my mom some challenges in my teenage years. Maybe I prayed enough that I wouldn't get that back, but she's been an amazing teen. As a matter of fact, today she's celebrating her junior prom.
Oh,
And the balance is so important. In the beginning, I did not have a playbook on balance.
right.
I'm one of those kind of go-getters, and once I get focused on something, something else is coming off my plate. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to be very careful, very particular in the things that I was participating in, and how I was showing up.
Mm-hmm.
So time management, thank goodness I had a really great mentor that taught me how to leverage my 24 hours in a day. And what she constantly reminded me is, you have 8 hours to work, you have 8 hours to sleep if that's how long you need to sleep, and you have 8 hours to work on your dream. And the way she broke that down, for me was very simple. She gave me some very key categories that I needed to see, how am I playing in each of these categories? How am I playing in my personal and spiritual development? How am I playing when it comes to family time? How am I playing when it comes to promoting my business, exposing my business, and getting my business out to people? And at that time, I was building, an organization. So how was I playing on the team, right? So
Mm-hmm.
with those tools, I was able to better manage my time. And, one of the things that I always, I like to give a kind of course correction to, because I think, especially as women, and I don't want to blanket all of us this way, but I know our hearts as
Mm-hmm.
women, and we think that we can give all to everyone,
Yeah.
and we will be the ones that feed ourselves last. We get the
Yeah.
burnt toast, we make our plates last. Um, I want to say that there is no true balance that you're going to find. Like, I'm going to have work-life balance. I'm going to have family life balance. The balance is what you need in that moment.
Yeah.
And I would say, if you have the communication with the people that are closest to you, if that's your family relationship and you're focused on a big project, or you're about to scale to the next level, or maybe you're just about to start, you have to have the conversation, because that means a little bit of time may be taken away from one area of focus and shifted to the other. And that's balance. And it's okay. It's okay to say, you know what, I can't really do this today because I'm focused on this.
Yeah.
I've had to give myself that grace.
That's so true. I tell people, listen, like, how do you get everything done? I was like, oh, I just make my little list, because I write things down and I make a list. And what don't get done today, I move it to the next day. So
Absolutely.
I give
Absolutely,
myself
Letitia.
what you can. So yeah.
Yes.
What's the best advice you can give for self-care? Because although as a mom and a business owner, you also have to make sure that mentally you're taking care of yourself as well.
Wow. You hit the nail on the head. We have to take care of ourselves
Mhm.
as women. Just going back to what I've just previously said, we tend to naturally put ourselves I'll take care of that later.
Yeah.
I'll go to the doctor after everybody else.
Right.
I'll make their dentist appointment when I make mine. You know, I'll make mine when I should say when I make theirs, you know, those kinds of things. So for self-care, there's a couple of things that I would recommend should focus on. Number one, what makes you feel good?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a spa day? And everybody's different. Is that a spa day? Is that a facial? Is that you having just some downtime in your own quiet space, rejuvenating and refilling your well and having that spiritual time? Is that a book? Is that sleep? You know? So, you know, self-care can be defined in several different ways, but you must take time for self-care. And what I would strongly recommend, don't wait until something changes for you to say, I got to take better care of myself.
Absolutely.
Mark yourself for self-care in your calendar like you do everything else for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they always say, well, we can't serve from an empty place.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So for me, self-care, and I'm my heart-strong advice is when you think of self-care, think of the things that are going to help you feel full again. Sometimes maybe it's just sitting and watch a movie when nobody else is around. Call somebody like, hey, can you come grab the kids, take them to the park? Maybe you need a movie or whatever the case may be. But self-care is so important, especially if you have so many different moving pieces happening in your life, business, family, relationships. And so many women are matriarchs. So many women, and even if you aren't the matriarch, meaning the, you know, first woman in your family, some of us are the ones that everybody goes to.
Yes. Yeah. And that person needs some self-care and someone that they can go to, because, you know, you can't keep giving. You have to also receive some things as well.
You said it. You said it.
I like that. So what is the main advice or some advice that you received growing up or before you got married, before you had kids, that you have taken along with you on this journey and has really helped you along the way?
Oh, I've had some great people before me. So one key piece of advice that my mom gave to me that I hold very, very dear, because we're hard on ourselves as women.
Very, very.
And she used to say, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. You know, she used to tell me this over and over again as a little girl, because, you know, sometimes women, we are the ones who want to achieve more, right? We're the first ones to go back to school. We're the first ones to venture out, right? So she would always say to me, you know, you don't have to be so hard on yourself. And when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And sometimes that is not in the form that you're thinking of, Dayna Marie. And I'll be like, oh, okay. And I've seen over the years how those things have shown up in my life. And I'm like, wow, I've probably read this book 5 times, and here's the answer to my question. Now this is what I needed, right? That happened. So, you know, I've learned to not be so hard on myself. So, I know a lot of, especially today, which makes me so proud, you know, and I appreciate your compliment in the beginning of, you know, this 20 plus year marriage. But without so much dating myself, right? I really appreciate this generation of young entrepreneurs. Because what I don't find as much as my era, right, is that hesitancy. There's a lot more, I'm still going to go try it. Yeah. So I like that, because that was one of the things that made me say, hold on, you've got to level up your game too. You
Mm-hmm.
can't be a mentor serving from that place.
Yes.
So there's been so many teachable moments from different aspects of my life, from my mom, and then even from young, beautiful female entrepreneurs that are up and
Mm-hmm.
coming. I believe in being a constant student. I can
Yes.
learn something from
Exactly.
everyone.
Yes. Yes.
And it doesn't matter if they're coming right after me, coming before me, if we're in the same lane. Listen, I think there's so much room at the top for all of us. So I tend to like to take all of those pieces and continue to grow as
Yes.
as a woman, you know?
I love that. And I love that. And like you said, the generation now, the youth now, they're fearless. Like they don't care. They're like, I thought about it. I'm gonna try it. If it work, it work. If it doesn't work,
Yes.
and you can appreciate that because a lot of times I know with my generation, we over process things and we overthink things, and it tends to hold us back, or it tends to we may not get to that step or try those goals because we're afraid. And it's
Mhm.
a mindset. It's like a mind thing. So
Yeah.
I
And
truly,
it came honestly, it came honestly from the generations
oh
before
yeah,
us. It came out of some things that
right.
they had to be a little bit more precautionary about.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
the wonderful thing is today we have so many collaborations like this one where you have your other girl bosses saying, come on, girl, you
Do it
got what?
right,
You know
right.
how to do what? Oh, come
Right.
on,
And then it's a competition. They're like, it's enough food for all of us. We're all gonna eat
I
around here.
love it.
So I do. I
I
really
love it.
appreciate that. So you have to give the audience a little bit information about your business and what you offer, and if you have any type of events or anything coming up soon.
Oh, thank you so much. So, in the financial services industry, which could be pretty broad,
Mhm.
I found that my passion is to work with women that are in business, and particularly helping them to obtain business credit and business funding to either start, grow, or scale.
Mhm.
Because what I found too, even in that mindset of I'm just going to go try it, we don't have the foundation in place,
Right,
right?
right.
So that's when big sis comes in, and I don't mean big sis in the age, terminology, but kind of in the wisdom way to say, okay, I want you to try this, but I want to make sure you have all of the things in order that you need to have in order. And then we're going to show you how to get other people bag. I want you to get your bag, but I want you to use other people bag too, so you can go ahead and grow and scale this thing all the way up. So
Yeah.
that's pretty much what I do. I love business credit. I love all things credit. I work on personal credit too, but business credit for women in business is really my passion. And we do have a few projects coming up. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be speaking later this month in Atlanta on a virtual conference that folks will be able to attend. I don't have the link just yet, but I'll make sure to get
We'll
that to
get
you.
it. Yeah, we'll get it and make sure you post it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll have it in the next 24 hours or so.
Okay.
And there's actually a book that's going to be coming out in the summer. It's called The Ultimate Hustler. And yeah, that's a great one as well.
Yeah.
I can definitely give you the information, the link on that one if your listeners would like to
Yeah.
grab a copy. And for our other mommies that are in business, you actually have an opportunity to even have your name listed in that book for free. Yeah, so it's a great way to give back
Yeah.
to so many that have. I'm trying to pull up this link while we're here.
No.
To so many that have given to me, So those are the few things that are coming up. There's always enough events on the calendar, but just to
Mhm.
highlight the few that are coming in the next couple of weeks. And folks can always reach out to me too, and you can provide them with that information if you'd like.
Yes, we'll provide your social media. So they can
Yeah,
make sure they follow you on all social media platform. And what you're doing is so important because as new business owners, a lot of times I get the question a lot, should I put this under my social? And I'm like, no, you have an EIN, right? That's the social for your business. So we need to know these type of things. And honestly, getting this information up front will really save you 5-6 years of, problems that you can have down the road. It would really put you ahead. So
absolutely.
information is just extremely so important. So
And thank you so much for letting me share it. I think it's important. And I'll tell you just really quickly why.
mhm.
I made the mistakes early
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Right. So I tried this entrepreneurship thing back in my 20s. And it was pretty great. I was designing clothes and in fashion. And that's a whole nother show, how I went from fashion to finance. But we'll talk about that later. But
That's
I
another
had
podcast. So we're gonna have you back on again. So we're confirming
from,
it.
from fashion to finance. We'll
Yes.
talk about that one. But when I was, doing all of these things, I was making great money, but I was commingling funds and, oh, this gonna pay this bill. And I
Mhm.
went to the tax professional and they were like, you cannot do that.
Right.
And that was prior to me being experienced and having, this MBA and this master's in accounting and all those things. But that's what really birthed this. I
Mhm.
don't want another woman in business to be out there hustling backwards. If
Right.
we're going to hustle, sis, we're going to hustle forward. We're going to get you everything you're supposed to get.
Yes, yes, I love this. Dayna Marie, thank you so much for joining the Mommy Business Podcast. This has been some great information, some great tips, and I think we're leading our young entrepreneurs in the right direction here.
That's the goal. You and I together, we got to make sure we help them to continue to blaze the path, right?
That's right. That's right. And we'll have you back from fashion to finance.
I thank you so much for having me. This has been a wonderful conversation. And just to be able to, have you volleying back and forth with, you are an amazing woman. All of the things that you're doing for women in business. And I hope you have many continued years and much success and many blessings.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye. We'll talk to you soon.
All righty.
Okay.